Have you ever felt that someone was placed in your life not to support your growth, but to make your path heavier, darker, and more confusing? Many people enter our lives for a reason, and not all of them are meant to uplift us. Some appear as spiritual tests, disguised as friends, lovers, or mentors, yet their presence slowly drains clarity and inner peace. One of the clearest signs that a person may be influenced by darker forces is their reliance on manipulation and gaslighting. These tactics are not random. They are deliberate psychological strategies meant to distort your reality and weaken your sense of self. Gaslighting is especially harmful. It begins subtly, a denial of what you saw, a dismissal of what you felt, a twist of words that makes you question your memory. Over time, this psychological fog grows thick. You start doubting your perception, your intuition, and even your sanity. Every moment of confusion pushes you further away from your spiritual center. This is particularly damaging during a spiritual awakening. Awakening requires sensitivity, clarity, and trust in your inner guidance. Gaslighting attacks these foundations directly. When someone causes you to doubt your intuition, you lose access to your inner truth, and that disconnection is exactly what darker forces seek. Their aim is to pull you off your path, not through obvious harm, but through quiet corrosion. Gaslighters use tactics such as minimization, blame shifting, denial, emotional guilt, and constant confusion. They may manipulate situations to make you feel responsible for things that were never your fault. They may rewrite conversations, twist your words, or create emotional chaos so that you rely more on them and less on your own intuition. The more confused you become, the easier you are to control, and the more control they gain, the further you drift from spiritual clarity. Recognizing manipulation is essential for your spiritual protection. Awareness itself is a shield. When you learn to identify these behaviors, you reclaim your perception. You step out of the fog and see the truth for what it is. It is vital to surround yourself with people who encourage authenticity, healing, and self-discovery, not those who distort your reality for their own benefit. During spiritual awakening, your energy becomes more sensitive, making you more perceptive but also more vulnerable. This is why discernment becomes a key spiritual skill. Not everyone you meet is aligned with your growth. Some are lessons, some are obstacles, some are mirrors, and some are tests designed to sharpen your intuition. Your energy is sacred. Protect it wisely.
Another unmistakable sign that someone may be influenced by darker forces is the display of grandiosity and a deep-rooted superiority complex. These individuals build their identity around an inflated sense of self-importance. They believe they are better, more deserving, or inherently superior to others, and they expect constant admiration. Their ego becomes their shield, and through that shield they perceive the world through distortion. This superiority complex is not simply arrogance, it is a psychological barrier that blocks humility, empathy, and spiritual growth. People with this trait often expect special treatment, believing rules do not apply to them. They may diminish others to reinforce their own sense of dominance. They feed on praise and become irritated when they are not the center of attention. In relationships, this manifests as emotional disconnection. They struggle to form genuine bonds because they see others as inferior or less meaningful. True empathy is absent because their worldview is rooted in self-worship. This creates a spiritual imbalance, and when such individuals enter your life, they may subtly push you to question your worth, intelligence, or capabilities. In a spiritual context, grandiosity becomes especially dangerous. One of the core principles of spiritual awakening is humility, the ability to admit one's limitations and seek deeper understanding. When someone believes they are above the spiritual journey itself, they become closed to the lessons the universe offers. Their ego becomes a thick wall that blocks higher wisdom.
This ego-driven mindset can easily overshadow your own spiritual progress. Spending time around such individuals may make you feel small, unheard, or unimportant. You may find yourself doubting your insights, minimizing your achievements, or feeling that your experiences are invalid compared to theirs. Darker forces often exploit this exaggerated ego. It becomes the perfect vessel to spread negativity, dominance, and manipulation. The person may not even realize they are being influenced, but their behavior creates energetic disruption wherever they go. Recognizing these traits helps protect your spiritual path. By distancing yourself from those driven by egoic superiority, you free your mind from constant comparison and emotional suppression. Seek out those who value humility, authenticity, and connection, because spiritual growth flourishes in environments where power is shared, not imposed. Your journey is too precious to walk beside those who diminish your light to amplify their own.
A major indicator that someone may be influenced by darker energies is their lack of empathy and their tendency to feed on the emotional energy of others. These individuals operate with a cold detachment, unable or unwilling to understand or share the feelings of those around them. To them, emotions are tools, not connections. They use them for manipulation, control, or personal satisfaction. This often leads to a phenomenon known as emotional vampirism. These emotional vampires thrive by draining the energy of empathetic and spiritually sensitive individuals. They gravitate toward people who listen deeply, care sincerely, and love unconditionally, because such individuals produce the most emotional energy. Every interaction with an emotional vampire leaves you feeling exhausted, drained, or emotionally heavy. At first, you might assume you're just tired, but over time, you'll notice a pattern. The more they take, the weaker you feel. They may bombard you with personal drama, constant crises, or emotional dependency. They might trigger guilt to keep you close, or twist your compassion into a responsibility to fix them. But no matter how much you give, they never change, because they were never seeking healing, they were seeking energy. During a spiritual awakening, this becomes extremely destructive. Awakening opens your heart, expands your intuition, and heightens your sensitivity. Your energy becomes brighter, and emotional vampires are drawn to that light. Their presence can cloud your intuition, weaken your emotional balance, and stall your progress. Signs you may be dealing with an emotional vampire include you feel drained after every interaction. They never show genuine concern for your well-being. Their problems are endless, but their solutions are non-existent. They expect emotional labor without reciprocation. They use guilt, pity, or manipulation to keep you engaged. But no matter how much you give, they never change because they were never seeking healing, they were seeking energy. Protecting yourself from emotional drain is essential. This requires setting firm boundaries, limiting interactions, and recognizing that your compassion must not come at the cost of your spiritual well-being. Your energy is not an endless resource for others to consume. Surround yourself with people who uplift and energize you, not those who feed on your light. When your energy is safe, your spirit flourishes.
Another powerful sign of darker influence is the presence of constant negativity. These individuals radiate pessimism, criticism, and emotional heaviness. Their negativity is not random, it is purposeful. It is designed to tear down the confidence, self-worth, and optimism of those around them. Criticism becomes their weapon of choice. Instead of offering constructive feedback, they use harsh words to belittle, shame, or intimidate. They plant subtle seeds of doubt, making you question your abilities and value. Over time, you may begin to believe the negative narratives they impose upon you. This negativity creates an environment of energetic suffocation. When someone constantly tears others down, they gain a sense of superiority and control. The more defeated you feel, the more powerful they become. This is how darker forces operate, through emotional erosion rather than direct confrontation. Being constantly surrounded by negativity weakens spiritual alignment. Your energy feels heavy, your intuition becomes clouded, and your emotional clarity fades. You may find yourself feeling anxious, discouraged, or spiritually lost. These symptoms are indicators that negativity has begun affecting your inner world. Negativity is contagious. Just as positivity can lift your spirit, persistent pessimism can infect your energy field. The more time you spend around someone who constantly criticizes or complains, the more your vibration lowers. This can stall or even reverse your spiritual progress. Recognizing these patterns is essential for emotional and spiritual protection. Once you identify someone who consistently radiates negativity, it becomes necessary to set boundaries. Limit your exposure, create emotional distance, protect your peace. Choosing to surround yourself with positive, uplifting individuals is not just a preference, it is a spiritual responsibility. When you cultivate an environment that nurtures encouragement, hope, and growth, your spirit thrives. Negative influences lose their power, and your inner light grows stronger. Your spiritual path becomes clearer when the noise of negativity is removed.
Another major sign that someone in your life may be influenced by darker forces is their tendency to encourage behaviors that go against your values. These individuals do not simply make poor decisions, they attempt to pull you into their patterns. They tempt you with promises of excitement, pleasure, or escape, but their true intention is to lead you away from your moral center and spiritual purpose. This is spiritual sabotage disguised as fun, freedom, or rebellion. They may persuade you to indulge in deceit, manipulation, or destructive behaviors. They may normalize vices such as greed, lust, envy, or dishonesty, gradually shifting your boundaries until you hardly recognize yourself. This erosion happens slowly, subtly, and quietly. But spiritual decline rarely happens with one big decision. It happens through repeated small compromises. Another tactic used by these individuals is planting subtle doubts about your faith, values, and spiritual path. Their questions seem innocent, intellectual, or even supportive, but beneath them lies a hidden intention to destabilize your belief system. They may question the validity of your spiritual experiences or dismiss your awakening as imagination. They may say things like, "Are you sure your beliefs are real? Maybe spirituality is all in your head. Why take your path so seriously?" These seeds of doubt may seem harmless, but their cumulative effect can be deeply damaging. Doubt weakens conviction. Confusion disrupts spiritual alignment. Once your inner clarity fractures, you become more vulnerable to manipulation. To protect yourself, reaffirm your commitment to your values. Strengthen your inner foundation by surrounding yourself with people who uplift your faith, not those who tear it down. Seek mentors, guides, or communities who respect your spiritual path. True spiritual growth comes from genuine questioning, not from doubts planted with hidden intentions. Your integrity is your protection.
One of the strongest indicators that someone may be influenced by darker forces is the cycle of love bombing followed by devaluation. This emotional pattern is one of the most manipulative psychological traps and one of the hardest to escape. The cycle begins with love bombing. The person overwhelms you with affection, praise, attention, and grand gestures. They make you feel seen, cherished, and valued in ways that feel almost magical. This early behavior creates emotional dependence, making you believe that this connection is extraordinary or even spiritually fated. But the moment they secure your trust, the shift happens. The affection fades, warmth turns cold, support becomes criticism. This is the devaluation stage. Suddenly, everything you do is wrong. Your feelings are dismissed, your achievements minimized, your worth questioned. The same person who once uplifted you now tears you down, slowly, deliberately, and strategically. This emotional whiplash leaves you confused and vulnerable.
You begin to question what changed or whether you are at fault. But in truth, you did nothing wrong. The cycle was planned. Love bombing was the hook. Devaluation is the control. This behavior is common among narcissists and individuals driven by darker energies. They feed on emotional instability. They thrive when you doubt yourself. Their goal is not love, but dominance. Recognizing this cycle is essential for spiritual liberation. When you step out of the emotional swing, you regain your power. When you understand the pattern, you break free from it. When you protect your boundaries, the manipulation loses its grip. Surround yourself with relationships rooted in mutual respect, honesty, and genuine affection. These qualities nurture spiritual growth and emotional healing. Your awakening deserves to unfold in peace, not in chaos created by those who fear your light. If you've stayed with this message until the end, thank you for your presence. If you found insight or clarity here, consider staying connected for future guidance. You are not alone on this journey. Until next time, stay grounded, stay aware, and protect your inner light.